Since we're going to hear this music again in a couple minutes, but I think that's a classical piece of music right there. But it's still, when you hear it, it's what it's from. It's not a classical piece. It's the theme to today's movie, Trading Places. Yep, that's where we're going. We're taking Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters, and we're moving him on over, which actually was a year before Ghostbusters, to Trading Places, which, again, we're on this trajectory, with Saturday Night Live and Animal House and, which one did we do that John Landis directed? Three Amigos, yeah. Three Amigos. So we got Dan Aykroyd from the original Saturday Night Live, who is now in a movie directed by John Landis, who directed Three Amigos with Chevy Chase from the original Saturday Night Live, and also featured both Martin Short and Phil Hartman and John Lovitz, who were part of that Saturday Night Live, lore over various different years, and Steve Martin, who hosted many times, and then you had Ghostbusters, which connected to Bill Murray. Wait a second, I think I just got lost, but in any case, yeah. So now it all comes together, connecting with a new edition of Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is throwing in another, so there are a dozen connections for Trading Places between Dan Aykroyd and bringing in, John Landis and Elmer Bernstein. The music you'll see when we, when they show the credits. And I might spot things that relate to other movies I've watched that I don't even know yet. So, but I think this Trading Places is gonna push us off into a different trajectory. I think we're going into the Eddie Murphy kingdom. It doesn't mean I'm going to do every Eddie Murphy movie, but definitely a select few that are worthy. Don't know which ones yet, don't know when, but whoever, the person that's listening to this will be the first to know, the only one to know. All right, so let's cut that off and get ready to start here. Now, Trading Places is an absolute classic. It's one of those, another one like Ghostbusters, but it's probably going to be more fun to pick apart, because even though I think Ghostbusters, for me, Ghostbusters is I like Ghostbusters more just because, probably the Bill Murray factor, but Trading Places is very plot heavy, so it's going to be fun to speculate about the plot and just its gimmick and all that stuff, and the different characters and the Duke brothers, and I mean there's a lot to I think I've never done this before, but I have seen the movie 100 times. So let's start it. I've got it on number 6. 6 seconds. So I'm remembering to do it today. Watch this. I am going to start mine in 3, 2. No, wait, that's the wrong way to do it. No. Now we are going to start the movie. So, the hell is? Oh, for God's sake! Oh my goodness! You got to turn the volume up when you're gonna get fancy and silly and play a sound effect. Now we're gonna start the movie. There we go. I am such a jerk. Yes, we're gonna start. All right. So of course I screwed it up, but no, we're gonna start the movie. I'm at 6 seconds in on the Paramount logo. So hopefully you've gotten to 6 seconds by now, because we are going to 3, 2, 1, begin. Press play. So yeah, here's that classical stuff that we were discussing. Just so perfect for what we're doing here. Central City, Philadelphia. They're just. I like it when movies do this, when they just establish where they are and show that the city and the setting is important. This is not, that it's not just anywhere USA or anywhere. It's there's a reason for all of this. So there's Eddie Murphy. I think this was only Eddie's second movie. The first one came a year earlier. It was 48 Hours. So at this point, he was a star, but not quite ready to be a solo. So he went from co-headlining with Nick Nolte to co-headlining with Dan Aykroyd, and from here he goes to co-headlining with Dudley Moore in a bomb called Best Defense that not even I've seen. And then came Beverly Hills Cop, and it was off to the races from there. But look at that. Frank Oz, James Belushi, Franken and Davis. Now, Franken and Davis were big Saturday Night Live writers. James Belushi, obviously, John's younger brother, but became a big star, a leading man, headliner in his own right. Huge popular TV shows, and he was also on Saturday Night Live for a while. And if you don't know who Frank Oz is, well, he's the voice of Miss Piggy, the voice of Yoda, the voice of Fozzie Bear, and he's directed some great movies. He directed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and others that I'm forgetting at the moment. Little Shop of Horrors, a classic, definitely a classic, and others that I'm forgetting. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, they're just they're establishing the life. They're looking at the haves and the have-nots, because after all, this whole movie is looking at that. And I've never really thought about it before, but this opening sequence is setting up the contrast between the rich and the poor, and then there's Rocky. It's just Coleman, Denholm, Elliot. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Denholm or Denham, I don't know. He's gone now, but he was famous from, I think. He was a well-known British actor for many years, but American audiences, they know him from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. God, it's like somebody's in the room conducting. See, if this were like a parody today, you would totally turn around and see an orchestra playing that theme in the room with them. So now we meet Louis Winthorpe III, played by Dan Aykroyd. Yeah. Coleman he's just the reason you need a great actor to play this part is because he's us. He represents us in this situation. Like, look at this pompous asshole. And Lewis is he is a pompous asshole. Eddie doesn't really change much, but Lewis definitely does. But that's the point. like Eddie brings his streetwise, fast talking con man act to Wall Street. Is that a Bentley limo? But the truth is, he's owned by the Duke brothers. I mean, he works for them. They own the house that he lives in. Coleman doesn't even work for him. He works for the Duke brothers. The job, he's marrying their niece. I mean, we'll get to all that, but so maybe his life wasn't as perfect. I mean, it isn't to us. I mean, we'll see the kind of people he hangs out with. Just every move. Aykroyd is so damn good. He's method without being method. He just becomes these people. And here are the old guys, the Duke brothers. Now this is a good get for these guys. I mean, they got Ralph Bellamy and Don Aykroyd, two huge stars from the early days of like the 30s and 40s and 50s, who both had kind of disappeared for a while, from what I understand. But here they are, perfection. Especially Don Aykroyd, Mortimer. He's a scumbag. He's got no soul. And that's why you love him. You like hanging with him more than you like hanging with Randolph, because even though Randolph is a villain also, he still has he has some scruples. It's amazing. These guys are worth all the money in the world, and it's never enough. It's the excitement, I guess. They've lived a certain way their whole life, and that's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I certainly don't get all this, but that's all right. We just need to know the basics.
You just made an extra $347,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, I never had an instant doubt in my mind, however. Oh, yes, I'm sure a lot of people went belly up on that. I'll see you at the club.
Oh, God, you hate him. You hate him, yet you love him, because it's Aykroyd, I guess. It's tough for Aykroyd to play, I don't think Aykroyd's ever played a real villain. He played the enemy of a character, of John Cusack's character, in a movie called Grosse Pointe Blank that nobody saw. Now, Eddie's on. We gotta focus on Eddie. That's Eddie's gift. He commands the attention. And here are the everyday happenings at Duke and Duke.
continue until the Department of Agriculture's January crop report. Exactly as we thought, Randolph.
Wrong. Quite wrong. Untrue. They've given this genetics fellow the Nobel Prize.
Giving us a little plot
About human nature.
with some
We're
character.
about to make millions of dollars in frozen orange juice, and you're talking to me about human nature.
Money isn't everything, Mortimer.
Oh, grow up.
Mother always said you were greedy.
She meant it as a compliment.
Great line. Ezra. Randolph looks at his watch.
Right on time. I bet you thought I'd forgotten your Christmas bonus. There you are.
$5. Maybe I'll go to the movies by myself.
Half of it is from me.
Thank you, Mr. Markham.
See, I never got the joke until, maybe a dozen times. The joke is that they're just cheap bastards.
Good, Lewis. Feeling good, Todd. We need a fourth for squash today, Lewis. Are you interested?
No can do. I'll be having dinner with Penelope tonight.
Oh, lucky you.
Like, evil is knowing you're doing wrong and just doing it anyway. Although I guess you could make the argument that they know that what they do with Aykroyd and Eddie is wrong, but
Randall? Mortimer?
as far as the money's concerned, they don't, a penny saved is a penny earned.
Checks for our employees, which require your signatures. And no forgetting to sign the big ones.
Seem to be paying some of our employees an awful lot of money.
Can't get around the old minimum wage, Mortimer.
His glances are great.
$50,000 to Clarence Beeks. Who the hell is? I meant to ask you about that. I went through personal records thoroughly, and there doesn't seem to be a Clarence Beeks employee.
Clarence Beeks.
Clarence Beeks. Oh, yes, of course. He's doing something top secret for us. Research. How is Penelope?
Yep, change the subject and telling us everything we need to know. The Dukes are bad guys, and they are going to corner the market.
Invitations go out?
All right, you don't get all of that from that, but you see that they're up to something. So now we know, if we've never seen the movie before, we know that these guys are no good.
Goodbye, Winthrop.
Yep. No souls. And that's okay. Like they're they're old school.
Bob was a very steady young man. We're lucky to have him managing our firm for us.
Oh, hogwash. Exeter, Harvard. He's the product of good environment.
It's got nothing to do with environment. With his genes, you can put Winthrop anywhere and he's going to come out on top. Breeding, Randolph, same as the racehorses. It's in the blood.
See, this is like, Eddie's back. So, but it's like they just told you what the message of the movie is, and at the same time they're making it a plot device, which is just brilliant. No, this is great. Everything with Eddie's great. I mean, jeez. Well, maybe not Dr. Doolittle too, but
We've had some complaints about conmen pretending to be blind and crippled.
Oh, I'd love to help you, man, but I ain't seen nothing I stepped on that landmine in Vietnam back in 72. What's up? Hey,
You were in now? So were we. Where?
I was in Sang Bang, Gang I was all over that place, basically. Not a place.
What unit were you in?
I was with the Green Beret, Special Unit Battalion, Commando Airborne Tactics, Specialist Tactics Unit Battalion. Yeah, it was real hush hush. I was Agent Orange. That was my name, Agent Orange, Special Agent Orange. That was me.
so yeah, and that In that previous scene, they just said one believes it's the whole basis for the bet. It's your environment that dictates who you are. They bet that Randolph said that Eddie would be able to run the firm, and that Winthorpe would and that Aykroyd would take to crime. Mortimer said it's in the blood. It doesn't matter how someone's raised or the environment. So I guess Randolph won the bet. Yeah. Spoiler alert, I guess. Fate. Snob. But yet, when he gets sandbagged, you feel for him. They bust him for trying to rob the payroll.
What in heaven's name is going on here? You tried to rob the payroll, Randolph. You attacked me in broad daylight.
Didn't do nothing, man. This guy bumped into me.
Trying to rob the payroll as if he could go into a bank and cash all those checks.
What's going to happen to this man?
We're going to book him. Assault, attempted robbery, and resisting arrest.
Well done, Winslow.
Hey, man, I'm innocent. This guy bumped into me. I'm trying to give him his briefcase back to him. Shit, I can't be going to jail because some asswipe ain't watching where he's going.
Officer, I would like to press full charges. People like this are a menace to decent society. You're from a broken home, of course.
If we was broke, so what?
You have a history of juvenile arrests, I presume. Drug abuse, reform school, state...
Look at the cop behind him. He's rolling his eyes.
Been a lawyer in the house.
Nobody wants the case.
That man is the product of a poor environment.
Here we go.
Absolutely nothing wrong with him. I can prove it.
Of course, there's something wrong with him. He's a Negro. Probably been stealing.
Could they get away with saying that in a what is essentially a harmless comedy today? You know, they can get away with saying it in movies that are supposed to be, you know, that are supposed to be that way. That's their focus, like that. Like when we look at Mortimer Duke, we don't think racist. That's just a part of his personality, and it's played for laughs. Can you play that for laughs today? It's a good question. Yeah, you got to up the stakes.
Yes, I'm sure he'd take the crime like a fish to water.
You'd have to put him in the wrong surroundings, of course, with the worst sort of people. I mean, real...
Either they're real cheap, or it's not about the money, or both.
How much you want to bet?
The usual amount?
Why not?
And you just said we've done it before.
Someone has to take a stand against something like that.
I've always tried to try to figure out. I mean, we see they're eating lobster, and he's making, and he says what he's making right now is dessert. I know no dessert that looks like maybe he's making a crepe or something.
Did Lewis tell you what he did today?
Mr. Lewis was kind enough to share his afternoon's excitement with me. He's Penelope.
You're so hot-tempered, darling. I would have groveled on the ground and begged for mercy.
Yeah, it's a crepe.
I want you, Lewis, now.
Coleman, sir, I think we'll take our drinks in the living room by the fire. No dessert, sir. You have it.
Thank you, sir. I don't know. Crepes are good. Why wouldn't he want it?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Duke, sir. The what? A scientific experiment?
Yeah, this explains a lot, actually.
Of course, sir. No, it all sounds very original. But it's your house, sir, and I work for you.
See, it's so important. Like, these characters need to be fleshed out. We need to know exactly who they are. You know, but the butler, you know, it's a great character because, you know, a lot of movies have that butler or servant who's so much smarter than the protagonist. In this case, both protagonists. He's wiser. He's smarter. I mean, it's a very familiar kind of character, and so many people give it to, you know, play it differently. The movie Arthur, which was just a couple years before this. I forgot that actor's name, but he played Hobson, Alfred the Butler in the Batman world. You know, you could tell it's as close to an arranged marriage as could possibly be in waspy America.
No, I think I have everything I want. Good night, sir.
Yeah. Coleman's going to do a bad thing. What he does is a bad thing, but... And here we go. For some reason, it's funnier when Eddie does it than Kevin Hart. You know, I watch Kevin Hart. I watch his stand-up, and I don't think he's that funny. He's a better stand-up than he is an actor, I think. He is funny as a stand-up, but when he does his act in the movies, the only thing I can think of is what Eddie would do with roles like that. Especially a movie which I loved, by the way, a movie called The Wedding Ringer. That's like by far the best Kevin Hart movie, and it's hilarious. But even with that one, I wanted to see what Eddie Murphy would do with a role like that. But, you know, a lot of people consider Eddie Murphy over the hill, but he doesn't look it. And he's got Coming to America 2 coming out. And, I mean, if we if everybody survives, and movies start being made again, he's doing Beverly Hills Cop 4 for Netflix, which I'm all about. But, we'll talk more about. We're going to do Beverly Hills Cop, and we're going to do Coming to America eventually. But yeah, Eddie is just has such a, I don't know. I mean, that's why he's Eddie Murphy. He's just got that thing that made him one of the few. I mean, I can't speak for previous generations, really. I couldn't tell you, well, let's put it this way. In the 80s, there were three people, and there were really three people who could sell a movie no matter how bad it was. Just the fact that they were in it, it would make at least $100 million. And Eddie Murphy was one of them. Tom Cruise was another, and Sylvester Stallone, and Schwarzenegger for a little while. Like those four, no movie they did was a small movie. They all had these stretches. I think Stallone had the longest one. Eddie's was probably for, about 6 or 7 years. Maybe Cruise was like that for a while. But they're really the only people I could think of who had those kinds of movie runs. I mean, you could say Harrison Ford, but Harrison Ford, he found franchises that, because Harrison Ford has been in a lot of movies that nobody saw, that weren't so great. So it was just, Harrison Ford had, he's not quite at that level, even though I think if you do the math, Harrison Ford movies have made more money than anybody else. If you take the 4 Star Wars movies he was in, and the 4 Indiana Jones movies he was in, and throw in those 2 Tom Clancy ones. Yeah. Although, who knows? My brother Steven and I use that line all the time. He'll call me up, ask a question. I'll be like, I don't know. And he'll be like, thank you, you've been helpful. These guys they might not be for real, but they're worth checking out. He's in a limo filled with all of life's riches. Why not see? He's got nothing to lose. That's the thing about Billy Ray Valentine. He's got nothing to lose. So why the hell not? So we're guessing this is all happening while Winthorpe is at work. Winthorpe is at Duke and Duke right now. The Duke brothers are setting this whole thing up here, and then they're going to leave him to get settled, and they're going to go to the club and do their thing. That's this actually is a takeoff on that on a scene from the movie Arthur I just mentioned, where Arthur's in the hot tub and the butler is he's spouting off nonsense and the butler is just rolling his eyes. And Eddie just takes it and turns it and makes it his own. It's about the bubbles.
What's he doing in there? He's singing.
And he calls Coleman a gay slur that we're not allowed to use anymore.
Send him to the laundry. He'll have to have something to wear back to the ghetto after I've won our bet.
Well, William, what do you think?
I like it, Randy. It's very nice. I like when you got the marriage and stuff hooked up over there. It's very pretty. I like that. I like that. Oh, Marky, I do understand.
I've always wanted a jacket with something like that on it. Just something that says you've accomplished something. I'll make it up if I have to.
You understand?
It's mine. Yeah, I like that. You know what I like most about my place, Randy? The curtains. Man, look at the curtains. It's beautiful the way I got it.
He's stealing everything. I guess that's a Harvard thing because he says later he's wearing a Harvard tie. I don't know. What's the difference?
This is too much for me, man. You know, I can really dig it, Randy. You know why? This kind of thing happens to me every week.
This is your house. These are yours.
I guess Billy Ray does change a little bit because he does. I don't know. Let's see.
Me out here and start running some garbage to me about this is my house, this is my personal rug, and you gonna tell me this is my personal slave too.
I understand how you feel, William, but the fact remains all this is yours. You can do whatever you wish.
This is my stuff, my place, huh? I can do what I want with this stuff, right? This is my base here, right? This is Billy Ray's base, right? I own this base. I can feel like Harlem Globetrotter shit with it, right? Okay, you want mellow lemon shit, right? Sorry about that.
Perfectly all right, William. It was your base.
That's a cheap base, man. That was a fake, right?
I think we paid $35,000. But I seem to remember we estimated its value at $50,000 for the insurance company. You see, Mortimer, William has already made us a profit of $15,000.
You want to break something else?
You want me to break something else?
Yeah, so I'm guessing. I mean, I'm guessing this is the same day or the next. I don't know. What's the difference? This guy was Clarence Beeks. This guy's great. I mean, he was great. He's passed away maybe about 10 years ago, but my God, this guy was great. Is Paul Gleason. He's the he does this. He was in the Breakfast Club. Played the idiot deputy chief Dwayne Robinson in Die Hard. Just he was great. Kind of actor who's just great in anything, no matter what. He's like a J.T. Walsh. I would hope you know who J.T. Walsh was. If you don't know the name, you would know the face. But he's not in this movie. That'd be an interesting film festival, a J.T. Walsh film festival. What would be on it? A Few Good Men. Good Morning Vietnam. Outbreak, definitely. Breakdown with Kurt Russell. That would be in there. Backdraft. He was great in Backdraft. Sling Blade. That guy was something else.
This man is 100 times low. I'd like to introduce Mr. Beeks, Lyndhurst Security.
Lyndhurst Security. Clarence Beeks.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you gentlemen to all stand up. I'd like to ask you to
This is an all men's club.
shoulder of the man to your left. I would now ask
Yes, all these yuppie scumbags. And they turn on him. Turn on him pretty quickly for stealing $150. $150. That's it. I think. Yeah.
you may sit. We marked three $50 bills with red X's.
Three $50 bills with red X's.
Less than 10 minutes ago, those bills were stolen from a coat in a cloakroom. One of our operatives witnessed the theft.
So it was just a sting operation. Okay, fine. But $150? That's not even... that's a misdemeanor. If that. It's really not larceny. $150.
Now wait a minute. I've never seen this money before in my life. Randolph, this is a
Oh, Winthorpe.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Oh, Winthrop. I'm glad your parents are not alive to see this.
But no, wait, now this is total preposterous. This is insane. I have no reason to steal. No, wait, I'm not a thief. I demand a fair share.
Yeah. The Elders. That's Frank Oz. That is the voice of Yoda and the voice of Miss Piggy and the voice of Fozzie Bear and Grover and Bert from Sesame Street. Yeah.
Realize you're making a grave mistake. Boy, are you two going to be sorry. Do you know who I am?
Yeah. Winthrop Lewis III.
Great character actor right there.
Phone calls just
Take off your clothes.
now. Wait a minute. I know my rights.
Take off your clothes.
You are making a
Frank Oz basically played the same role in the Blues Brothers movies, which were also directed by John Landis and also starring Dan Aykroyd.
Did you hear what this man has said to me? I have witnesses. This man is physically threatening me. Winthrop. Louis III. All right.
You can hear, I guess he sounds most like Fozzie, like his natural voice.
Alligator skin wallet. MasterCard, American Express. Full card. Visa, Giant Black. Tickets. A Bohemian.
It's an opera.
It's an opera. It's an opera.
It's amazing. Everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price.
That's not mine. I've never seen that before in my life. That's PCP. Phencyclidine. Angel dust. You ever see what this stuff does to kids? You are looking at 3 to 5 mandatory.
Yeah. See, I want to see at the same time you're upset, you feel bad for Aykroyd, you're loving hanging with Eddie in this. You know, you love seeing Eddie, even though you know he's being set up. You love seeing him just having fun. $27. That's it.
Who you think it is? Clarence, get the lady some champagne.
Those guys from the jail. Yeah. Man, I do the exact same thing. Just buy myself a life. Motherfucker. Moi.
Motherfucker. Moi. That just happens to be my limousine outside. Why don't you go look at it? Right.
Yeah. It's just, oh God. Coleman. I love that this is in the middle of the day too. And then all of a sudden he becomes a little uptight. I guess he's changing his attitude pretty quickly. Like he starts taking things seriously, maybe a little too soon. I mean, this is like Ghostbusters. Like you'll never find anybody who doesn't like this movie. There's nothing not to like. But he starts like this is what he wants, and he's getting a little uptight. Not that this isn't necessary. It's funny to see him bitching about little things that 3 hours earlier he didn't give a crap about. But it's just funny. But it's from Persia. Maybe if they had this party like after a couple of days of work, so he experiences that life a little bit before, and that's why maybe if they had done, I don't know, I don't know. I'm questioning scene order from a movie that's I don't know how old, almost 40 years. That would not be my reaction. But to each his own. I remember the good old days of parties when women just took their tops off for no reason. As sexist as it gets. But hey, it's harmless. Truth is, in this movie, it's the female who's probably the noblest. Jamie Lee Curtis, she plays the Ophelia, the hooker, and she's pretty much the moral center of the movie, I would say. Eddie's a con man. Aykroyd's a, pompous jerk. And they're both kind of brought to the middle by Ophelia and to some extent Coleman, but Coleman's hands aren't clean because he, you'll see, we see how he treats Lewis when he comes home. Definitely don't like Lewis, and definitely don't like Coleman in that moment. But because he's so good to Billy Ray, you still love Coleman. That's the thing. Is, there's nobody to everybody. There's nobody to really hate in this movie. Yeah, the Dukes are the bad guys, but they're so lovable, and even and even Clarence Beeks. He's the kind of guy like he's a bad guy, but you would love to hang with him and have a beer with him.
Let's go, Wayne Thorpe.
It's tough in the clink. There's Jamie Lee. There's the fiance who's surrounded by transients. Definitely Clash of Cultures comedy. Actually, it's not even. I don't know. It's not even like it's the rich people versus the poor people. It's about Aykroyd and Eddie. But it's always, it's always the underlings. It's always the hooker and the butler who are their eyes are open wider than anybody else's. They see things objectively. They keep emotion out of it, and that's why they're smarter than the rest of us. And this movie's no exception.
Smell. Melody, do you realize where I've been since yesterday? They beat me up, stole my clothes. Those men wanted to have sex with me.
Was somewhere else,
Wanted
Louis?
to try to bend me over the if this place is indicative of the state of correctional institutions in this country, they might as well let all the contents out. It's far worse than the inside.
Stealing from your friends in the club, Louis? Heroin, Louis?
See, he still doesn't.
Wants me to call off the wedding. So does Todd.
He still doesn't realize how deep this setup goes.
What did you do? They're prepared charges against you for embezzlement.
Embezzlement. I've never stolen anything in my life.
Man I love.
Embezzlement, $150, cash. That's not embezzlement.
It wasn't heroin. It was angel dust. PCP. Listen, I swear on my honor, with Almighty God as my witness, I am not an angel.
That's interesting. His hair in the long shot, at least when they first came out, was way out of whack. Like, look at his hair there. Well, it's probably the same in these two. But when he came out, if you ever go back and, you see, like, it's way up in the air. Well, at least he still has his house. No, wait a minute.
Someone told you to do this to me? Hey, pay me another cut, too. Right over there.
Let me get this straight. I'm going to give you 20 for the cab, and you're going to give me 50 when we get to your house.
Correct.
Jamie Lee Curtis was, she's had quite the career.
No, you're hustling me.
Hustling you. Hustling you.
I tell you, she's in two of the best comedies ever. This and A Fish Called Wanda. And while while Trading Places is definitely considered more of a classic, pound for pound and laugh for laugh, A Fish Called Wanda might be funnier. A Fish Called Wanda is drop down, scream out loud funny. This is a little bit different. Yeah, this is the one scene where Coleman's really, doing the wrong thing. I wonder what would have happened. Well, I wonder what would have happened if he just told Lewis what was going on. Well, first thing that would happen is that we'd have no movie. I mean, there aren't many movies that exist that someone doesn't make a decision that they wouldn't normally make. Because otherwise, no.
I'll be making a cash withdrawal. The amount, $500. In fact,
Like, would Doc Brown have really taken plutonium from a bunch of Libyan terrorists? Well, if he didn't, Marty never goes back in time, and we're robbed of lifetimes of Back to the Future content.
what are you talking about? You know me. You're a heroine. It wasn't heroin. It's angel dust, PCP, and I never even had my hands on it. Regardless, it's not the kind of business we want here at First National. May I see your credit cards, please?
John Landis likes those shots. He likes reaction shots from people who have nothing to do with the action. And in Coming to America, which is kind of like, it's not a sequel to this, but it's kind of a distant cousin. He does the same thing in the scene where everybody's coming and going towards the end. He does it with the dog. The dog is just like, somebody says one thing, then the dog's looking at them, and then somebody says another thing, the dog turns the head. It's like that. That's his. He likes to do that. He also likes, another thing that Landis likes to do is actors looking at the camera once per movie. In this movie, Eddie does it. Eddie does it in Coming to America. Sylvester Stallone does it in a movie called Oscar, which was directed by John Landis. Did somebody do it in Three Amigos? I'm not sure. Don't remember. Yeah, you got people who've got nothing to lose. Why not? It's obviously he's not a killer. And here comes Eddie to his first day of work, and this See, this is like Mr. Robinson. Like, that's basically the character he's playing. Eddie's just such a natural.
What am I supposed to do in here? What they want from me?
Show them a tech exam.
Yeah, what if I can't do it?
Investigate the sensor.
How old was he? This was 83, which meant he was 22 years old. 22 years old. I'm 23 older. I'm 23 years older than he is. I'm 23 years older now than he is there, and that pisses me off. It's so racist. They told her, hey, first black guy you see, send him back to us. Great. So yeah, Eddie's about to do his look to the camera in this next scene here. Yeah. Teaching him the business. Meanwhile, he ends up being smarter than the rest of them.
This is not Neil Valentine. We are here to try.
Which actually kind of proves Mortimer's theory. Like, Eddie's a natural.
Wheat, which is used to make bread. Pork bellies, which is used to make
Here it is.
which you might find in a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich.
I love that. And nobody does it better than Eddie. But he kind of, he sort of outsmarts them, and everything makes sense to him. And it's not like he's been living this life. Let's see. Randolph is betting that he's betting nurture. He's betting that. Well, the bet isn't really about Eddie. It's about Winthorpe. It's about Aykroyd. They're betting that the street is going to but Randolph is also saying that if we treat Eddie like a king, he will become one. So I guess, yeah, Randolph does win. He wins by a couple touchdowns, too. You know those people? Yeah, she's, these days, I don't know. I don't know how they'd have her play it. But she's a tough broad, and that's what this character needs to be. She's much prettier without it. Much. You're a prostitute.
I'm talking about a business proposition, Louis. I help you get yourself back on your feet and you pay me in cash 5 figures. That's the deal, and it's not subject to negotiation. Understood?
Yes, indeed. Is it gratuitous? Yes. Is it necessary? Yes. Is it spectacular? Yes.
Food and rent are not the only things I
She's something else.
You sleep on the couch.
Let's hit rock bottom. Come on, let's buy. Bought a computer, buy 200 meg
Now, look, he's got a picture of Reagan on his desk there.
Something very important is going on here. Just watch.
Right, tell him you're in on this.
Why shouldn't we buy now?
See, he thinks he can do it. Mortimer's like, no way. He's got no respect for him. And that's what makes the character endearing. Part of it, anyway.
Tell me just why you think the price of pork bellies is going down, will you?
Christmas time, everybody's uptight. Would we please buy now when going? Right, if you want to lose money, go ahead.
What are you trying to say, William?
His speech here is great.
Belly prices dropped all morning. Everybody's sitting in their office and waiting for them to get rock bottom so they can buy cheap and go along. People don't own the pork belly contracts are on back sheet. Hey, we losing all our damn money. Christmas is around the corner, and I ain't got no money to buy my son a G.I. Joe and Kung Fu grip. Okay? My wife ain't gonna make love to me because I ain't got no money, right? So they sit there and they panic and they screaming, sell, sell. So they don't want to lose all their money, right? Yeah, they're panicking right now. You can feel it. Yeah, they're panicking. Look at me.
My God, look at it.
I wait till you get to about 64, then I buy.
It really is. I mean, he really does simplify it, but it really is that simple. It's the wheeler dealers that make it so complicated.
Advise our clients interested in bellies to buy at 64. Mr. Valentine has set the price. Well done, William. Very well done. Come on, Randolph. We're going to be late.
Yep. See, this bet is for $1, yet he leaves a wad of $100 bills just to see what he would do with it. He was going to risk losing hundreds of dollars there just to try to sabotage Billy Ray. And this bet is $1. I wonder how many takes it took them for him to catch it the way he did, because the way he catches it is just great.
Nice try, Mortimer.
Oh, God, these scumbags. If you hate anybody in this movie, it's these guys. And they're not even likable in any way. You talk about social distancing. Like, definitely stand away from these guys. See, people these guys' age, they're all in their mid to late 20s, yuppies, and looking for their wives, and just basically quarantining themselves with the same kind of people. We have the same kind of people exist today. They just don't. They just dress differently, but they're still exactly like that. They're out there. They might not sing lullabies as a barbershop quartet, but they're just obnoxious.
I might have liked this thing
My friends, yeah. That guy right there, he's actually a I don't know his name, but he's one of those character actors who everybody knows. He had a good role in Philadelphia, a bunch of other movies.
And I think I speak for all of us. I think it shows incredibly bad taste.
These other guys, I'm not, don't recognize for anything else.
I believe I'm still a member of this club.
Nobody wants to buy your drugs here, Louis. You just go away.
Mm-hmm. Funny how you go. Ooh, that's Bo Diddley.
I beg your pardon. Man, it wasn't so hot.
She was engaged to him 2 days earlier.
You think you buy stone? $50 for. $50? No. This is a Rochefoucauld, the thinnest water-resistant watch in the world. Singularly unique, sculptured in design, handcrafted in Switzerland, and water-resistant to 3 atmospheres. This is the sports watch of the 80s. $6,955 retail.
Is that a receipt?
It tells time simultaneously in Monte Carlo, Beverly Hills, London, Paris, Rome, and Stade.
In Philadelphia, it's worth $50.
Just give me the money. How much for the gun?
And yeah, Bo Diddley, one scene cameo, but he's gone now too. But great guitarist.
Snails, and I want a big S put on each door. Big S. On top of the car, I want another big S, so everybody can see it. Oh, so he said, but what do you want that for? But see, when I drive down the avenue, I want everybody to say,
Look at
look
that.
at that S car go.
Eddie's expressions here are great. I mean, he's total fish out of water, but yet he fits right in. He's making himself fit right in. He's like, I dig this. I'll go with this.
I can think of 3 really good reasons why I should do something like that, Judge. 1, the Russian meat harvest isn't going to be as bad as everybody thinks. And 2, and 3, just from all these jewels around your girlfriend's neck here, I think you'll need every penny you got just to keep her happy.
Watch Eddie's eyes here when the trophy wife or trophy girlfriend whispers in his ear. See, and you feel for Lewis. You actually do. As much of a douche as he was. Look at Eddie's eyes. Oh.
103. That's it. You're staying in bed.
Man, this moved into my house, stolen my job. I have to do something.
Yeah. Not quite sure why she does what she does here. But not complaining.
It's 10 o'clock. Here's Johnny.
Sorry, my mama just came in from out of town. Can we do it next week? Flowers for me.
No, that's not how it works, honey.
The company. Is this business? I'll go for a walk or something. Fresh air will do me good.
Lay down.
See, look how much prettier she is.
Sorry,
Hmm.
Oh, Ophelia, can't tell you how good that feels. You've been so kind to me.
I'm just protecting my investment.
That's all.
That's all. Shut up about his thing.
I mean, you know exactly what's going to happen. But it doesn't matter. It's how it happens. And the character's reactions to it.
Now. You're not getting out of bed though until it's normal.
I feel fine, and I've inconvenienced you enough.
Remember the good old days when you could actually take care of the sick without dressing in a nuclear reactor suit? Oh. Judgment Day is coming. I don't know. That's a racist picture. I mean, they make him so dark. God damn it. The office Christmas party. That stuff's looking good right now. Yeah. You know, basically, yeah, they're doing the same job. Payroll. Now he's got, you can see another 10 grand to Clarence Beeks. So I guess the 10,000 was for the setup. The 10,000 to Clarence Beeks was for the setup. The 50,000 from before was for the what is it? Which commodity is it? Is it orange juice? Is that how they make their money? Orange juice? I thought it was pork belly. No, well, we'll find out. How could I forget?
Where have you been? The party's already begun. Some work to finish in the office.
That's shameful of me to forget what the commodity was.
I was thinking you could stop when I accept the Nobel Prize.
I'm gonna go with OJ.
As I recall, something about a second party turning to crime.
Orange juice.
Didn't you say you had some work to do, Valentine?
Yes, sir. I was wondering about this $10,000 check to Mr. Clarence Beeks.
I'll take care of it, Valentine.
I don't seem to recall any Clarence Beeks working for the firm, Mr. Duke.
It was before you joined us, Valentine. We did manage to stay in business for 47 years before your arrival.
He resents that.
Merry Christmas.
This is great here.
What? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
What? They didn't show where he got the drugs from. Definitely wasn't from Ophelia, I wouldn't think.
What do you think you're doing?
Randall? Mortimer?
I guess this is the crime that they're talking about. He stole these drugs. Looks like a bunch of prescription pills there.
I'm red-handed. Or is that you? I'm making a citizen's arrest. This man is a drug dealer. Look here in his office drawer. He's got all the bad drugs here. Marijuana joints, pills, Quaalude, Valium, yellow ones, red ones, cocaine grinder, drug needles. He's the pusher, not me.
Really, I just came in and caught this man planting this stuff in my desk. It's obviously some primitive attempt.
He's smiling.
Boy, if that isn't hot calling the kettle black.
It's obviously a lunatic. I'm calling security.
This is great, too.
Put that phone down.
Hello, security.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Trying to rob me?
We know he got the gun at the pawn shop.
Hey, look, man, this is a big misunderstanding, all right? I don't know nothing about your house and your car and your job, really. You put that gun away when you asked to do.
Put that gun away at once, Winthrop. You lost your mind? Freeze, Flambeau! I realize this whole experience must have been rather unsettling for you.
Winthrop, don't leave. We can explain.
Yeah. You'll be sorry.
So were they gonna? I guess they were gonna come clean right there. They were gonna say, "Okay, Randolph won. Now, let's get back to normal." Most of the music in this movie is it seems like it's taking familiar themes and making a whole new sound out of them. Like that was a Christmas song right there, but
Can't believe Winthrop would fall to pieces.
It's none of my business, but that guy belongs behind bars.
He's unemployed, Valentine.
No excuse for him.
Flat broke. Obviously hungry.
He has money to buy drugs, right? Listen, you can't be soft on people like that. Take it from me, I know, Randolph.
interesting coming from Eddie. It is the pot calling the kettle black. He's saying you can't go soft on people like that. Well, guess what? This is a guy who was in jail a week before. And now who's getting high in the bathroom at his office Christmas party?
Pay up, Waterman. I've won the bet.
Here, $1.
We took a perfectly useless psychopath like Valentine.
Psychopath.
A successful executive. During the same time, we turned an honest, hard-working man into a violently deranged would-be killer. Now, what are we going to do about taking Winthrop back and returning Valentine to the ghetto?
I don't want Winthrop back after what he's done.
You mean keep Valentine on as managing director?
Do you really believe I would have a nigger behind?
Of course not. Neither would I. I do think we should hold off on switching them back, though, until we get that crop report New Year's Eve, don't you?
Absolutely no sense rocking the boat until then.
If Mr. Beats does what we paid him to do, we should have a very happy New Year.
Everybody got that? Very great exposition scene. Now we know exactly how Eddie and Aykroyd are going to take the Dukes down. But first, a hurdle. We got to get them together. And how do we do that?
Hey, Winthrop! Winthrop!
And I like how they actually take their time with this. They have them chase them around, and instead of just like trying to get to it more quickly, let him first seriously hit rock bottom. He's not even there yet. Rock bottom comes in a couple minutes, maybe less, but He's become everything he used to hate. He's eating looks like a giant fish. And fake beard hair. Is it rock bottom yet? No, not quite. Is this rock bottom? No, not quite. That's rock bottom. You can't even fucking kill yourself. Maybe that's rock bottom. You try to do it, it's just nothing works ever. Like everything goes wrong. And that's rock bottom. And now he just don't even know what he's I guess maybe he went out, he was sick, and then did he take drugs? It didn't really show him. We know he's drunk. He was drinking. But then the doctor's over, and he's like, it was close, but it'll be fine. I mean, close to dying? What exactly did he do? But then you see a lot of the drugs here, so maybe he did swallow some stuff. Yeah. There you go.
It was close, but he's going to be all right. Now make sure I get plenty of rest, and for God's sake, no excitement.
Another great character actor, a 15-second performance. And he's great. Philip Bosco. You wonder if, like, these guys who are well known and who've been around and they do these tiny short scenes, maybe they filmed more and it just didn't work for the movie. I don't know.
Morning, sir. Merry Christmas. Coleman, I had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor and no one liked me. I lost my job, I lost my house. Penelope hated me. It was all because of this terrible, awful Negro.
All right, so now we know everything.
They made a bet. I think it's true, sir. I believe in Louis. Dukes ruined my life over a bet. For how much?
Eddie.
$1. Fine. That's the way they want it?
No problem.
No problem. You know, you can't just go out and shoot people in the kneecap with a double-barrel shotgun because you pissed at them. Why not? It's called assault with a deadly weapon. You get 20 years for that shit. Listen, do you have any better ideas? Yeah, you know, it occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor.
Ain't that the truth? No. And now they find their way. It's really, literally hand-delivered it to them.
Miami to the Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Louis, that's him.
That's the guy who paid her to do the thing to him.
Head of Lyndhurst Security.
Dude just gave that man $10 grand.
And if it was, I would have gotten away with it. If it wasn't for you damn kids.
Yeah, research now can get his hands on that top secret crop report 2 days before it goes public.
Dukes are going to corner the entire frozen orange juice market.
Yes, frozen orange juice. I got it right. Good.
Or beat some to it.
Eggnog.
Eggnog.
So now Eddie's in on it. Eddie and Winthorpe are working together, and we can take these guys down. Here's Paul Gleason.
Penetration and acquisition at 2100 hours tomorrow. Hold on. Fuck off. I will be leaving DC by train. We'll rendezvous at 2400 hours.
The Hilton Hotel, parking level B.
Section 4. That's the orange section.
Orange. I like that. Very
Final payment is due on delivery. In cash.
There's Belushi. Jim Belushi. This was made. It came out in '83 in 1983, and which means it was probably made, like filmed in 1982, and that's the same year that John Belushi died. I wonder if this was before or after. I want to say after, but Jim's great. He was great on Saturday Night Live too. And there's Al Franken and Tom Davis. Al Franken, Tom Davis. These guys were like a comedy writing team, and they performed a little bit. They split up later on, and Franken was a frequent contributor to Saturday Night Live, and then he became a senator. And he decided to resign during that whole Me Too movement. Tom Davis, I don't know much about what he did after his time with Franken, but he passed away. I think of cancer, something like that. Not that long ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Thank you for correcting my English with Steve. I am Nanda Ibuko, exchange student from Cameroon.
Oh, God. Wouldn't it have been funny if they named Prince Hakeem in Coming to America? Maybe it was this guy. I mean, it's all it's all stereotypical. It's all prejudice, but it's not racist because it's done with such good taste and well-meaning. It's like that old joke: when it's funny, it's not offensive, and I guess that holds true. That guy is the guy from Airplane, the wacky guy, Johnny from Airplane, the guy who pulls the plug out on the runway. Ooh, that could connect. What do we do? Do we go into the Eddie Murphy time, or do we take a detour? Because now I could connect to Airplane, and I knew I wanted to do Airplane. Coleman is the Irish priest. I gotta think. If I could connect if I can connect Airplane back to Eddie Murphy somehow, maybe I'll have to do some. I'll have to do some digging. That's a big cast. Airplane's got a big cast of very familiar faces, so I might be able to pull that off. Actually, I got it. I have a connection. Do I? This connects to Airplane. Just this connects to Airplane, and that guy, yes, is in Airplane, and he's also in one of it. Yeah, I can do it. In fact, I can connect Airplane with the connection that I have. I could connect Airplane to either 48 Hours or Beverly Hills Cop, because the guy who's in Airplane is in both 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop. Maybe that's what we'll do. But I can only do it with Airplane 1. Because that guy is not in Airplane 2. And I also want to do Airplane 2 because Airplane 2 is a forgotten classic. The first Airplane is definitely one of the funniest movies ever made, but Airplane 2 is right behind. I mean, there are some just flat out hysterical. I'll see if I can connect. I connect this to Airplane, and I can connect. Yes, I could connect this to Airplane 2. But can I connect Airplane 2 to Eddie Murphy? That is... If anybody can do it, it's me. So here's Dan Aykroyd in blackface. I mean, for Christ's sake. And you can tell. I mean, I think that's his... Yeah, you can totally tell that he's painted up. Oh my God, they had balls of steel. Wow. Yeah. He's great. Oh yeah, sure. No problem. Now, did he see them change the briefcase? I'm guessing he did, because now he takes them hostage. But I don't know. Yeah, he definitely did, because now he knows. He's a smart guy. That's not nice. Like the Belushi's great here. Just everything works. Even physically, I even like the way he runs after. Like if you didn't know it was Jim under there, you'd think it was John. He moves exactly like him. Watch this. When he tells, "Get out of here, maggot," and then when he follows him, like right here, he stands there like, "What?" Here we go, like that. That's all John right there. Just a little hop and then the run.
your phony Irish whiskey. No more goddamn jerky beef. The party's over.
Party's over? Hey, come on. What do you mean the party's over? It's not even 10 o'clock, you dummy. Hey, come on, loosen up, man. It's almost New Year's Eve.
Talk about a flimsy way to get the good guys back on top, but it works because they sell it. Belushi sells it. Gleason sells it. Aykroyd, they all do. When you have pros doing these things, the shit works. They could sell anything. That's why they are who they are. I'm convinced. Because this is stupid. But it's not stupid. Because we believe in them. There's Belushi. I love this. Because we believe in Eddie Murphy, we believe in Dan Aykroyd, we believe in Jamie Lee Curtis, we believe in all of them. And the more we believe in them, the more we will accept them doing what they do. And it's not that we believe in them from the very beginning. We grow with them. The movie allows us to grow with them. So by the time they get in very deep, we're with them. So whatever it is, it is. But it takes time for the characters to grow on you and to grow with you. And you got to go through ups and downs. You got to see their good points and their bad points. And you see that from both Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. They allow you to see their flaws. And that's what makes great comedies work. Because people are flawed. And there's nothing funnier than the truth. And if you think about it in those terms, this movie really is a social commentary buried beneath a farce. That's Deep Throat. All right, so now we know that they just got $50,000. But I think I just uncovered a plot hole. Well, they were paying Beeks by check, and yet they just gave him a briefcase full of cash, which is the cash that these guys, along with Ophelia and Coleman's money, they put up, to make themselves rich. But basically, as far as I'm concerned, they just got $50,000 that was meant for Beeks, for them to put on they want to sell, right? What do they want to do? I don't even remember. Either way, they're using that $50,000 to make themselves more money. Basically, they corner the market. They know what's going to happen. They know that the price of frozen orange juice is going to go down. The Dukes think it's going to go up. But these guys know that the price is going to go down. So they're going to use that $50,000. They're going to buy well, while I figure this out, that's another Muppet right there, that guy. He is the voice of Scooter, or was. This guy's dead. Not any, obviously. That guy's name is Richard Hunt. But yeah, he was a Muppet performer.
Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem. Nothing you have ever
So they're taking all that money that they got. They got the 50 grand. They got Coleman's money. They got Ophelia's money. And what are they doing with it? They're buying.
1 minute you're up $500,000 in soybeans and the next boom. Your kids don't go to college and they repossess your bank. Are you with me?
I'm not exactly sure what they do. All I know is they screw the Dukes and get rich. That's what Wikipedia is for. So they know that the price is going to go down, or they think it's going up. They want their guy to buy. Yes, because the price is low now. The price is low now. So they want their guy to buy as much stock as possible. So when the price starts going down, they think the price is going up. So they want him to buy low right now and keep buying, and then when the price skyrockets, according to the crop report that they got, everyone's going to look to sell. And they're going to look to buy from him. Again, I got lost. For about 5 minutes, I entertained the idea of going to Wall Street, and then I saw this movie and realized I would never survive. It's not that I don't get it; it's that I'm not even interested in it. It doesn't interest me. The money business does not interest me. Yes, I want to get paid. That's all I care about. As far as money goes, I need to make a living, but playing around with other people's money is not my thing. You go through what these guys go through. No. I mean, it's basically being a professional gambler. I guess, you understand exactly what happened. They got the wrong information, so they set them up, and, they... all we know is that Lewis and Valentine, when they start, they are selling. And they are selling because the price is high now, but they know it's going to go down. All right, now I got it. Billy Ray and Winthorpe are going to sell. They're dumping everything. Yes, they're waiting till the price gets high enough because they know they're selling high and people think it's going to go even higher. But then when the crop report comes out, it's going to go the other way. Yeah, they're selling high, I guess. But the price shouldn't be going down yet. I'm going to have to read about it. I don't know. But watch Eddie as he's selling. He's just pointing to people and smiling. Lewis is the is the businessman. Watch Eddie. He like points and smiles. Or maybe that's after the crop report. So whatever this guy says here, we know this is the information that was in that crop report. The fact that the cold winter doesn't affect the orange harvest, I guess that means that there will be plenty of orange juice and that it won't be tough to get. So that means the price is going to go down. And if one thought the price was going to go up, they would buy as much. So now everything that the Duke's guy just bought is going to be worthless. See, and now the price is going down. I don't quite understand how Billy Ray and Lou, I know they were going the other way, but if they took all that money that they had and bought stock in frozen orange juice and then just turned right around and sold it, they're selling it for the same price they bought it at. So, or maybe they were just maybe they were waiting here for the price to get high enough. Maybe they bought it at, I don't know. Again, I keep trying to put this puzzle together. It's probably a lot simpler than I'm making it. And their guy gets crushed. Yeah, they're losing everything. They put everything on. They bet everything on black. And it ended up on red. And I don't know what that number means. We know that it's low, but how that affects them, I don't know. See, they let us stick around and see what happens to the Dukes instead of having us have to hang out with Eddie and Dan all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just in a movie like this, you gotta balance yourself out, and you gotta show us who these people are. This is a hilarious scene right here. I'm laughing laughing so hard because I'm reminded of something that's just so funny, and during this Beaks thing. I'll just tell the quick story. We were me and some great friends of mine over the summer. We just for some reason we got in the car at 2 a.m. and went looking for like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or something, and we got to McDonald's. We were so hungry, and we got to McDonald's literally like we knew it closed at actually no, this was earlier. Maybe it was like we knew it closed at 11:30, and we got there at like 11:29, and they were closing up, and they wouldn't let us in. And then one of my friends from the car, Kevin, who's just got such a daffy sense of humor, he just starts screaming, "Turn those machines back on! Turn those machines back on!" One of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. Oh man, I was crying, laughing so hard. That's what I miss with this whole quarantine, just hanging out with people and laughing. Oh, I'm getting all cheesy. But yeah, look, imagine living out the rest of your days like this. See, if I was the Dukes, this is what you do. You got hundreds of millions of dollars. Why would you work? Just sit on a fucking beach. And look at this. It's like 90 degrees. Eddie's wearing a sweater. And all's well that ends well. And these are kind of cute. They look like little outtakes, you know. Like these are like scenes that are continued from the movie. Like here, she's I remember the scene. I don't remember her laughing in it. So that's like kind of like, you know, John Landis kind of likes to play with that. He does that in Coming to America as well. So, yeah. Get a Job. That's the song. What a great movie. What a great, great movie. Just it's amazing when just everything works. And let's see who Robert Earl Jones, Clint Smith. Yes, Clint Smith. What? See, I missed it. I missed the character, but Clint Smith is in he's in Coming to America. He plays one of those old guys in the barbershop. Yeah, so this is this is the rise of both Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Obviously, Eddie, became one of the biggest stars ever, and Aykroyd, is still known all over the world, but he never, gained the kind of like, oh, it's a Dan Aykroyd movie, everybody's going to see it. Never got quite to that level, but he was also a very big behind-the-scenes guy. I mean, he wrote a lot of. I think he had a hand in writing this, but he wrote Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2. I think he wrote Dragnet. I think he's big behind the scenes. And look, I believe his next movie after this was Ghostbusters, and doesn't get much bigger than that. Although maybe it was. Maybe he did Dr. Detroit first. I don't know, but that's a cult classic in its own right. So I doubt Dan Aykroyd is crying in his. What does he manufacture? Vodka, I think. He's not crying in his vodka. But yeah, this is. Yeah, Andiante Cantabile. I guess that's it. It's fun looking at some of these songs from the movie. So yeah, they were on location in New York, city of Philadelphia. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to. I mean. It's it's very rare that a movie becomes classic when it tries to fake it. Like when you're faking, you're using Vancouver or Toronto for New York. I mean, I don't know. It's something I'd have to look up, but when you fake it, when you're dishonest with your audience, you're never going to. I don't know. Now I'm on a quest to find a movie that actually fakes out its audience and works. Like that. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But either way, Trading Places. So that's just another classic. And tomorrow, I haven't quite figured out. I know what direction we're going in. We're either going to Airplane, because we know Airplane can take us back to Eddie Murphy, or we're going to go to Airplane 2. But I want to do Airplane as well, so maybe I'll just take the Airplane route. Unless I could, I don't know. We'll see. Should I do, if I can connect Airplane 2 back to Eddie Murphy somehow, I'll go Airplane, then Airplane 2, and then back to Eddie. But we'll see. But until then, we've got bigger fish to fry. So thank you for watching this movie with me. It actually does feel good to talk to anybody, even if nobody's listening. At least I'm able to talk. So this has been Trading Places. You've been watching along with Gru, and I'll be here tomorrow, probably around the same time. And we'll find out what we're going to do then. All right, thanks, and we'll see you.